Kelly, everyone knows you as the powerhouse behind Tharos Jiu-Jitsu, the woman who turned pain into purpose. But I want to rewind for a second. Who were you before all that? And what moment do you think forged the warrior we see today?
Who I was before being known for like jiu-jitsu, even just before even like MMA, before any athletics, anything like that, of this version of self, I was a disaster. And I think that's an understatement. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't try to not be a disaster, because I really did.
Right.
I think it was when I was told I would never like walk again, that it really broke me. It really, really broke me. It's, you know, prior to all of that life, you know, I was a drug addict throughout high school until I was 22. I didn't know how to keep a job. I didn't know how to be an adult. I didn't know how to do laundry. I didn't know how to cook for myself. I never learned life. Like I had zero like life skills whatsoever. So what really formed me into the person I am today was such a mixture of things, such a mixture. And like I can mention all of those things, drug addiction, all of those things. And I can honestly say, I don't think that's who turned me into who I am today. I do believe the drug addict part of me made me super good at business.
Really?
I believe if you can redirect that level of mental obsession, man, you can succeed in so many areas. Like look at my level of obsession with jiu-jitsu. I love it.
Right.
Like I'm addict through and through, you know? And so I would say what got me to this version though was probably actually physical injury. Like when my leg got so bad that I couldn't walk and I couldn't find anything, I had to find a solution. And that was the true final thing that like pushed me over the edge to be like, all right, I have to fight through what they're telling me and what they predict my future to be and find a solution, because I'm a very active person. And I would have to say that was the final, like they say, like the nail in the coffin was taking away my physical body. That was the nail in the coffin that changed everything.
Wow. I mean, that's huge, because it's like facing that adversity of knowing that, you know, you have these injuries and you have to face it at face value, and being resilient through it and pushing yourself to go past that.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Especially with being a woman in this martial arts and things like that. It's awesome to be here with you and see the things that you have done and continuously done over and over again. And just even sitting down and watching you like teach everyone and coach people through it. I could never tell you had any injuries or anything that, you know, happened in the past that you just talked about.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's funny because I'm actually having surgery again next week. It's the 12th knee surgery, and this is supposed to be the one that fixes everything, but I've been told that before. However, the personal assistant of my doctor trains jiu-jitsu, and she came in here and was blown away. She was like, this is your place. She goes, out there, I've seen your leg. Like I've seen it. I know you're not supposed to walk, and yet you move like water. And I'm like, no, it's something that is super comfortable for me. And I'm super excited to find out if I can do it 2 legs. My goodness. Can you imagine? Can you imagine 2 legs?
Just 2 legs.
2 legs in a sport.
Oh man. Oh my goodness. So in those dark years that you talked about, what kept you from becoming a permanent victim of circumstance?
So for me, the word victim, I've never been a fan of. Just the word in general.
Right.
I think it just for a long time was like, wow, if I think I'm in a victim, like if I've been a victim in any sense, then I'm weak. I had this like correlation to vulnerability to victim. I was like, it's too many V words. Like, too many going on. So I did not like victim mentality.
Right.
Now I'm like, listen, I do have to change words. Semantics are huge for me. I'm like, okay, I survived a lot. It wasn't that I was a victim. A lot of situations, especially when in drugs, I put myself there. Am I saying it's my fault? No. But did I play an active role in a lot of negative things?
Right.
Yes. It's like showing up to do a combat sport and being like, I don't know why I'm getting bruised. You signed up, but it's the end result is what we're shooting for. So, you know, it's that I never allowed myself to, even probably at an unhealthy level, allowed myself to be a victim. Now, have I encountered negative, like traumatic things? Absolutely. but I don't find the need to associate with the victim. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes.
Does that make sense?
100%.
I'm not saying like I'm not saying like if, wow, I was a victim in this situation. Okay, that could be a fact. But how I live with that is what's different to me. I'm not going to give someone enough power to make me a victim. I'm just not.
Right.
Like, okay, yes, in this situation, I was not in control. In this situation, I might not have had an ideal outcome. But instead, I'm going to turn that into this. I'm going to find a way to become powerful in this situation. I'm going to find a way to help others become powerful in that situation. Right. But yet, without ignoring the psychological effect it has in the background. It doesn't mean I have to identify as this poor me, poor this, poor that. But yeah, a lot of situations, they were shit. They sucked. Absolutely. They left a horrible mark. You know, maybe I can't sleep at night. Maybe there's this. But as long as I'm taking steps in the right direction, I'm more powerful than that situation. And it doesn't have to be just one thing. It could be your entire childhood. It could be your entire being.
Right.
And the whole thing is that if I'm taking steps in the right direction, I'm in charge. I am taking the steps that I need to become the person who I am going to choose to be, not the person who this situation is directing me towards.
Right.
So to me, it directs me towards the victim mentality, and I'm able to redirect with like, no, instead, I'm going to take this as leverage to become who I want to be.
That's awesome. Because like one thing I tell people a lot, and I know that a lot of people usually ask me, like, when you're a victim, it feels like, you know, you lose that control. Mm-hmm. What would you advise someone who has that mentality that continuously feels like their downfall is their life? Like that's who they are. Like, what would you tell to that person that day to day they think that they're in that victim mentality and not in that survivor or controlling manner? Like,
those are situations where you have to, I don't want to say like you step gently. You walk gently into that situation. You walk very gently, because what we might see is not what is real to them. It's very real to them. And when we have a reality, if someone comes in and shakes it, whether it's good or bad, like if you walked in this door and we're like, hey, by the way, you suck at jiu-jitsu and you shouldn't have the school and this, that, and you can show me that to be true, you're going to rock me to my core. To my utter core, because my reality is this is my profession. I teach this. And if someone can put that down and shut that down, it's really hard, whether it's good or bad. Right. We can't really just come into someone's life and do that. So for me, the easiest way to gain access into somebody's life and into their heart and who they are and their core being is via questions. Via questions, because you have to find the door that's best for them. So if someone came to me and was like, hey, you know, exactly everything you just said, like, hey, like this is where it is. Life just keeps hammering down. My number one response to people is, I can't imagine, because I can't.
Right.
I can't. I don't feel the same. It doesn't matter all I've been through. I can't imagine what it's like for them in that very moment because I'm not in their shoes. But then I can turn it around with a question. And it can't be an insulting question. And it can't be a backhanded question. So it's, well, what did you want to happen today? What did you do to change that today? And the word change is often scary to people. So it's when you see that, like, so then it's, I kind of just, again, semantics, like they change everything. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. I swear by this.
Right.
So then it's, well, okay, you wanted to go get coffee today and you were too scared to leave your house. So what was something that you could have done that would have made that just this much easier? So maybe it's visualization, maybe visualizing leaving the house, maybe stepping outside and taking 10 deep breaths and going back in and realizing and sitting with that for a week. Like, hey, I was outside for 10 seconds, nothing bad happened. Okay, now I'm here. I know I'm prepared. Maybe now I can get into the car. All right, now I'm in the car. I take a nice 10 deep breaths here, so forth and so on. Eventually, maybe I end up in a drive-through with my window half down, you know, still safe, but still out. And eventually you end up in the coffee shop. You end up getting your pumpkin spice latte. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it helps you slowly but surely get to what you wanted. Now that goal to just go outside and get coffee, right? It seems to me like I love Starbucks. I go every day. I love talking to people. If I needed a job, I'd work there. I swear I'd be the greatest barista ever. I care about what I want you to tell me how your day is. But that's my reality.
Right.
It doesn't mean I can downplay your reality. And I think that's where we get so bad, especially with social media, is just shaming people. Well, why don't you do this? Well, do that. No, it's not how it works. We're not the same. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's finding a gentle way in, and there's no real advice there. It's more so, what can I do to listen to you, to help you walk hand in hand together? Because if I try to pull somebody behind, they're going to just drag, and it's going to ruin everything. But if we walk hand in hand, super slow through the whole process, jiu-jitsu takes like 10 years to get a black belt. Yeah. But I'm going to stand there and I'm going to hold your hand, and we're going to walk through those 10 years together. And when you get there, awesome. Now grab someone else's hand. As soon as you're able to, grab someone else's. And to me, that's how unity forms, where it's like, hey, I'm going to hold your hand, you're going to hold their hand, they're going to hold their hand, and we're all going to go together.
That's the beauty of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the family, and one step at a time. It doesn't have to be something that jumps from one end to the next, just like you said. Sure. So many people tend to confuse toughness with anger. Mm-hmm. When did you realize real strength came from control rather than rage?
When control was taken away. So if control is taken away, I'm gonna use jiu-jitsu first as the example, because it's a lot easier to explain. And when you come in to train, especially somebody who's strong, I'm strong, I'm tough, I'm this, they're not going to be able to. And yet you will be admired for that characteristic by most. If you walk in here, I'm like, awesome, you're strong, good job. Because I know where it's going to lead you. Like I know at the end, like we have more than that. And that some tiny, tiny little woman is going to spin around you, and you're going to feel like a crap of poo. Like, you know what I mean? And like, you're just like, oh my gosh, how did I not even, well, if you can't catch them, you can't control them, right?
That's true.
So for me, it was coming in and having much larger, much stronger people smush me, and realizing, holy crap, I don't have enough knowledge to do anything about this. I have a lot of strength, but it still is not equal to theirs. So that loss of control, like that moment, that loss, I realized, okay, being tough here isn't the same. It's not the same. So if I am going to have to gain control, yes, I being tough helps in combat sports, yes. And being tough in life, it does help. But I'm going to change the word to like resilient. Because when things can kind of bounce off, there's this thing called DBT, and they do it I love psychology. I study psychology all the time.
Oh, nice.
So DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, okay? And what they do is it's mostly to treat like borderline personality disorder. Okay. And so when it comes to this personality disorder, one of the characteristics they offer is extremes, absolutes, like here. And it's a dangerous place to be. And so one of the techniques that this DBT uses is what's called Teflon mind. So if you imagine like spraying yourself with Teflon, everything rolls off, right? Everything rolls off. It's the same concept in jiu-jitsu. It's the same concept in life, that it's like, okay, wow, I was submitted. All right, boom, let's go again. Nope, it didn't affect me. What we choose to let in is what's going to control us. But when we allow things to roll off, okay, they tapped me. Okay, they tapped me. They're going to tap me 1,000 times. But you know what? That 1,001 time when I get it is an amazing moment. When I want to become an entrepreneur and I fail 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 and I fail, and then I succeed, that success is worth so much more, so much more. And I think that is one of the reasons jiu-jitsu does help build that mentality, that it's like, okay, it doesn't matter if I'm tough, because tough doesn't necessarily equal control. It equals tough. I'm strong. Okay. I'm resilient.
Right.
Now what? All it is a backboard for me to start learning.
Okay. That I didn't expect that answer, because like, a lot of people, especially like entrepreneurs, and especially me starting this journey, I learned very quickly that you have to kind of expect to fail, but it's like every day you move on and try to fail a little less, or in military terms, we call it embrace the suck. Yeah. And you're just trying to suck a little less every day, but you're seeing your progress. And I mean, that answer speaks to me, especially starting this journey. So that's awesome. So now in this segment, we'll talk about becoming a hard target. Okay. In BJJ, vulnerability can be a weapon. You have to expose yourself to pressure to learn how to survive it. How does that ideal translate to real life and personal safety?
So how being vulnerable,
right,
and being a target can actually be a strength?
Correct.
Okay. So it's misdirection. Misdirection. I know that sounds weird, but misdirection. So if I am engaging in jiu-jitsu, if I'm rolling, then if I know, I'm really good at passing someone's guard to the right. Like, I'm really good at it. If I just go for it, they're going to know where I'm going, right? And it's like, okay, instead, I let them get their grips. I set up this, knowing that when they engage their body, they can offer a reaction to me. Okay. So jiu-jitsu in that sense that's a beautiful answer for jiu-jitsu, but that's not really one for me to correlate to life. Just to be honest, because I would never ask someone to, hey, become vulnerable in this moment and then be ready to attack. Because when I teach self-defense, I never once teach a misdirection. I never once teach, there's a difference between fighting and self-defense. So fighting, you're staying. You're staying, you're fighting, you're winning. Okay, we're gonna make it happen. You're winning. You're gonna stay and you're gonna fight and you're gonna give everything you have. Self-defense is getting away safely. Those two are very, 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 very different. So what makes somebody a target in the public world outside of jiu-jitsu is not one set thing. I genuinely believe, and from what I've studied and observed in all of my schooling, is a predator will know a victim across a room. They will know you across a field. The way in which we carry ourselves, the alertness we have, the confidence, the lack of confidence. When you came to my speech, I said, one of the things that I think people find the most sexy in anybody is confidence. It's truly, it can succeed in so many areas of life, and yet it's so hard to obtain.
Yes.
So when we're outside and we're walking, and you'll hear people say, well, a small female is more at risk than a big male, or this. Most likely, they're physically easier to relocate. That's a fact. Yes. I can physically pick up a tiny woman better than I can physically pick up a big man. Like, that's a fact. That's why they say cake prevents kidnapping. But you know what I mean? Like, it's one of my favorites. But there's simple facts, and those facts. That's why I handle self-defense a little differently than a lot of people. I'm not necessarily always teaching how to fight. I'm teaching on how to be aware. Look around. Get off your phone. Don't be here. And I've actually had to change my self-defense tactic for cell phones, which is crazy to me. But it's like, even I drive down the street and I see a person at a gas pump like this. I'm like, and your wallet's stolen. Yeah.
So easy.
It is. And it's so, how to protect, like, on the street, and not necessarily is how we carry ourselves, the awareness we have, the visualization we have. It's finding something within ourselves that we can feel safe. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu. It doesn't mean you're going to take up striking at the Krav Maga level. But the confidence of, I know what's around me. I know how to scream. I know I can yell fire. I know I can cause a scene. I'm here. I'm in an open area. I'm okay. Like, even just that confidence of, I'm okay. No, I don't have to be anywhere. I don't have to please anybody. There's nothing I have to do. I'm okay in this moment. It does present and bring out a different aura. And I think it does take away, like, the hard target part. It's when, like I said, if you're in that victim mentality and you're in that vulnerable space, man, I'm telling you, a predator knows it. I promise you, it's the creepiest thing to watch, but it's so true.
Yes. And that goes with the lesson that I try to teach is hard target and soft target. And some people don't understand the definition. Mm-hmm. So what does a hard target mean to you physically, mentally, and or emotionally?
Mm-hmm. So a hard target to me, like I said, semantics, I would change the word.
Right.
I would say difficult. Because...
Ooh, let me write that down. That's a good one.
It's because it's like, when you think about someone being attacked on the street, they're probably not thinking like, that's hard. Because to me, I'm like, hard, like, I think of like Kevin Hart and Will Ferrell and like Get Hard, like that one. But when I think of like a difficult target, like a difficult person to take. So if I was trying or going to attack somebody on the street, which I would not do unless you're hurting someone else, but if I was thinking like that line, it's first thing I would look for, who's aware. Again, like if you're just on your phone, just sitting, doing this, if you are not paying attention to your surroundings, boom, easy target. Easy, easy, easy. So simple. If you're somebody who has your back here and sees the doors and is like super aware, almost like overly hyper vigilant, there's probably a reason. You probably seen some things. Like we can walk in a room and be like, that's and happy Veterans Day, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
But it's, we're like, oh, that's a veteran. Oh, that person has PTSD. Like this is something I enjoy doing. I like seeing like, okay, who's aware, who's not. So like when I look at the street, I would say a difficult target is a person who's first aware, second, physically able. So if you have one leg, okay, and I say that because I think of my leg, but if you have one leg, probably a little bit easier, right? And not a very difficult target until you find out, hey, homie does jiu-jitsu with one leg. You know what I mean?
Imagine them with two.
That's right. I'm ready. But no, it's that thing of like what presents, and again, the confidence. If somebody is scared to be in that room. So I would say difficult instead of hard. Does that make sense?
I love that. No, that makes perfect sense because people automatically think that you have to be brolic, you got to be huge, and you automatically assume that because I'm small, I'm little, then automatically I'm a easy or simple target. For people like that who freeze in chaos or just in general, whether in a fight, an accident, or emotional breakdown, what daily habits do you recommend to strengthen that mental muscle?
So that one I have to go a little bit of a why, because there's two routes. It's something that does help is something along the lines of jiu-jitsu. However, I can say I have friends who are well into purple belt and have been sexually assaulted and froze. And they've trained this their whole, all these years so that they could defend themselves, and they still freeze in the moment.
Wow.
And so I do think there is, credit where credit is due is the fight or flight. Our bodies react. When we freeze, we freeze. And I want to emphasize that just in case someone's watching and is like, man, she's going to tell me not to freeze. I'm a sack of shit. So I want to make sure it is so well known that doesn't make you less than. It doesn't mean that you reacted incorrectly, because it happens all the time. And that's okay. That's okay. And I personally am not a freezer, but doesn't mean that I have ever been in a situation like maybe there's going to be a day I freeze.
Right.
And so I think the thing is how I prepare my fight mode is what I'll call it. My fight mode, my go mode is my entire life. I always was a protector of others, not of self, but of others. So training that side of me, not changing who I am, but adding to who I already exist as. And so being a protector, it's very easy for me to take a man down on the street who's attacking another woman. Now, if you attack me, I'm going to give you a little grace. I'm going to give you a little time, inform you it's a really bad idea. Let's not do this. But if you hit a kid, God, if you hit a dog, you're done. Yeah. You're done. But you hit a kid, you hit a dog, you hit a woman, you hit a man. Like you're harming another individual, and the level of innocence in which you hit is my level of reaction. I'm not going to stop and ask questions. I'm going to stop you. I'm not going to harm you, but I'm going to stop you.
Right.
And so for me, there's never been a freeze moment when someone else is being harmed. So how I nurture that reaction is by building the skills behind it. So if I want to be someone who wants to physically protect people on the street, I need to learn how to physically defend people on the street. I can't just expect to wow out and go ghetto girl, like I used to be, and it's true, and expect to defend you properly. I'm going to make the situation worse. But, it's that thing of I will not stand there and watch someone else cause harm to somebody, especially something innocent. So the way in which I nurture it, physically, there's 3 aspects: physically, mentally, and spiritually, believe it or not. Those 3 aspects are the core of my trifecta. And I try to stay, as you know from my speech, I try to stay in the middle of the trifecta. I can't fall into one corner too much. And so it's like I nurture the physical being. I make sure I'm in a mentally safe place, that I'm not reacting based off of a past situation, but only reacting based off of what's happening in this moment. Because if I go crazy, it might not be from this situation. It might be something somebody did 20 years ago. So nurturing that mental side. The spiritual side is finding the calm, the meditation, the inner peace, the learning to breathe, so that if I do, like I took a man down outside of the store next door. And in taking him down, I was going to put him to sleep. And as I had his back and I started to put him to sleep, I noticed he had a ring around his mouth. And it clicked immediately. This young man is not in his right mind. Okay. Young man, he was over 18, first of all. Okay. But I was like, he's not in his right mind, most likely on drugs. And if I turn the blood off to his brain, he might not come off, or might not come back, excuse me. So I went just enough that, they'll start to see the stars, and switched my position that I was going to break his bones. So I was going to break his arms. And I gave him fair warning. If you move, I will break your arms. I will break your arms. I will break your arms. He didn't believe me. I showed him a little example, and then he stopped and he said, okay. And this grown human asked if he could call his mom. And I was like, no. And I was so glad I stopped, because it turns out, yes, he was attacking a female, punching her in the face, but he did actually end up having a brain injury. And so there were drugs involved. Everything was correct on the assessment. But if I don't know how to have that calm, if I didn't learn how to breathe in meditation, learn how to be super calm in a situation that you shouldn't be, it wouldn't have gone as well. And I could have caused serious harm to that man. So I can't just learn the fight. I can't just learn the physical. I have to learn the mental, which is taking care of who I am on the inside, like who my past is, who I represent as the brain behind this. And then the spiritual side is the soul behind this, the knowing I don't want to cause harm, that jiu-jitsu is a sport to me. I'm not looking to actually hurt people. Learning how to breathe, that meditation, that connection with the universe. Those 3 things, to me, that causes the knowledge base to prevent a freeze, because it doesn't matter which part they hit. So say I attack you on the street.
Right.
Okay, first of all, not going to happen. But let's say I attack you on the street and you drop right into the corner of physical reaction, and boom, you physically burn out. Then you're going to, boom, shoot up to the mental. You're going to panic. You're going to freeze. You're going to, all this stuff. You have nothing left to give. You're thinking, oh my gosh, when I was attacked when I was 12, this is the same thing, this and that. And then immediately you go to pure despair. You drop to the spiritual side. There's no hope. I'm going to die. Look at this. I'm being attacked. And we freeze. Let's say reverse reaction. Boom. We're now in the center. I come on the street and I attack you. And boom, we go right to the mental of, oh my God, when I was little, I was constantly kicked. And if I just wait, it'll be over. So if we don't work on each one of those, then we aren't the complete trifecta. And so I do believe we will freeze. And I can't promise that prevents it, but I think it aids it.
Wow. And that speaks volume to a lot of things, because even, like, for example, with law enforcement, me being a former police officer and being a field training officer and training young officers, they've never experienced some of those things, so they freeze on sight. But I've also seen very veteran law enforcement officers before even going into a house that we know and have facts that there's someone behind that door with a gun. I've seen so many people freeze. Yep. And I never kind of understood that metrics of spiritual, mental, and physical. And now you explaining that, I'm seeing it at face value, because that officers may be thinking about, well, I want to get back home to my kids, or I don't want to do this. I'm not physically well for this. Like, this is not something. So instead of targeting that officer saying, move out of the way, I'd be like, hey, I got it.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes like, what would you say to someone who sees someone freeze right then and there, and how do you get them out of that?
Well, in a situation where there's actual credible danger, if you are someone who knows, like if I am with anyone, I'm probably going to take charge.
Right.
Like, I'm going to put my body between theirs and mine. That is who I am, and that is how I've been trained, and like that is just who it is. Now, if it is a different type situation where there's not the credible danger, and I see someone freeze, and I'm going to use jiu-jitsu, because there's been many cases where someone comes in to train, has a trauma of their past, of the physical variety, and I see them lose themselves in their eyes. You can see the dissociation happening, where the body may still be doing this, but you see that they're in the distance and they're leaving. They're physically leaving their body. They're leaving their body to fight, but their brain can't handle what's happening, right? So it's seeing that moment, and I've seen that a lot. And one of the main things as a professor that I believe is my responsibility is to not embarrass somebody, to not cause awareness to a full room, even to their training partner. Because who knows if, let's say it's a young lady and she begins dissociating, and the man on top, maybe he was, when he was little, maybe his dad hit his mom, and his worst fear in the world is causing female harm. And even though he did nothing, that could be the thing that absolutely sets him off, because he feels as though he harmed her, even though it wasn't his stuff that caused this reaction, right? So how do we address the entire situation? The entire situation has to be addressed by, one, disengaging physical contact. So, hey, guys, hold on. Let me show something here. And I'll say to the guy, hey, do me a favor. I'm gonna show her something. Go in and go ahead, go against the wall, or go get this. I call out another black belt. Like, hey, can you roll with him for a second? I need to teach her something. Situation controlled. First and foremost, physical situation controlled.
Yes.
Whatever was bringing the stressor in is stopped. Okay. So now we have physical covered. Now, how to bring that person back? A lot of times, for me, it's the sound of the voice. It's a constant low. It's finding and grounding someone back into the safety of the moment. So whether it's me pushing on the inside of their hand, right? Like finding something, like a tap to the hand. Always, I shoot for hands. It's a big thing for me. I shoot for hands.
Wow.
If it's not working, like a little bit of a temperature change, I can open the gi and fan. Something that brings awareness back to the body, knowing that when they come back, there'll be a very evident moment that they're back, or a super slow one. So
Yeah.
you gotta wait and see. But you'll start seeing a little more blinking, a little more regression back into their body, that they're starting to come in. And reassurance. Hey, nobody saw it. Hey, nobody saw. You're okay. Only I know. Just chill. And then, hey, let's breathe together. Hey, no worries. No worries. Nothing happened. Reassuring constantly.
Right.
So I take care of the physical, and then I take care of the mental. Like, hey, we're okay. We're safe. Let's calm our brains. Let's bring it back in. And then it's hard, because the third aspect being like the spiritual side of it, which is like the soul side, I really can't be part of, because it's a personal part.
It is.
It's a personal part. So it's not like I can be like, hey, in this moment, what I'm going to need you to do. No, but I can be suggestive. I can be suggestive. Like, hey, you know what? Let's sit up and let's breathe together. Let's breathe. And again, nobody knows. And I circle all three of them. No, nobody's touching you. Let's look around the room. Hey, where are we? Hey, we're taking nice deep breaths in our nose, out our mouth. Nice. Nobody even noticed. Okay. And like just regaining all aspects of that control.
Wow. And that's very hard to do, especially in the heat of the moment for that person.
Super hard.
And seeing it, I've been a part of that. I've rolled here and I've had that moment where I'm just like, and you and other people around me, even like your demonstrations of how you calm people down is infectious because other people are mirroring the same thing you're doing. So if they see it in me or anybody else, they choose to also intervene. And that's a great and hard thing to do, and to get people to take that in and do it on the mat, do it outside of their lives. So how can women, for example, in particular, adopt that mentality of also being like, while doing that, also being a difficult target, like in their mind?
So I'm going to say facts are facts. I often believe that females are bigger targets. Okay, statistically speaking, they are bigger targets. One of the things is there is always power in numbers. There's always power in numbers. When in any situation, when we're talking about politics, when we're talking about personal safety, when we're talking about emotions, when we're talking about mental health, that new movie, Thunderbolts. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh
I need to
my
watch it.
gosh, no, you got to see it. It's, when you watch it now, you're going to think of this. And if I'm telling you, it's such a good movie. I've watched it like 6 times. I cry every time. But it portrays the mental health and the power of numbers, of having people around you, of building up by not being alone. So in all aspects of safety and mental health and just overall well-being, there's power in truth and there's power in numbers. If we are not honest with the people around us, if we are not honest with ourselves, which is the hardest one, then nobody around us can help. If we're honest with ourselves and with those around us, then there's so much power in what a hug from a friend can do, in taking a moment, of being infectious, of offering good vibes, of seeing that just maybe that person needs a smile today. I adopted a concept when I first got clean, probably 3 years into getting clean and sober, right? And it was, leave everything nicer than you found it. Everything. It takes a lot of work.
Right.
But everything. If you go into a public restroom, and now I'm not talking about like gas station dirty, like then you just need to be smart and walk out. Just physical intelligence. So, but I'm talking about like you're at the movie theater, you go in there and you see that there's a paper towel on the counter, right? That when you're done with yours, use yours, because also safety, and pick theirs up and throw it away. If you splash water, wipe it up. You see these things. That was not good when I walked in, and it's better now. It's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. Right. But leaving things better and found, including people. Going in to get your coffee in the morning, going into the dollar store, smile. Smile. Let the world know there's a reason, because we could be the one thing. It's insane to me that everyone lives their own lives and we never know what's going on with them.
That's true.
Ever. There was a car yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. And I was like, wow, this car is just being a turd. And I was like, they've got to be on the way to the hospital. Like, that's got to be a thing. And they weren't. They were on their way to Walmart. But as we were leaving, and I went to Walmart for the first time in like 30 years, I swear. And it held up to its name yesterday. And when we were leaving, we went by the hospital. And there was a man getting out of the car. And I was like, oh, what does this say? And it was organ donation collection. And I said to my wife in the car, I was like, wow, do you realize right now somebody just lost someone in their family? Like, somebody's life just utterly changed for everything. And all we did was buy Christmas lights. So it's that knowing everybody's going through something. And I posted it the other day. I was like, do you want to know who's going through a tough time? Everybody. Be nice. And it's true. And, so you're talking about like the infectious thing, and like just presenting with kindness is I think it helps so much. I got lost on a tangent on that one.
But absolutely. Yeah. You never know what your smile can do for someone else. And you don't know how just your presence can change a huge factor in someone else's life just by saying hi. Mm-hmm. There's so many people out there, like walking out, and I say hi to people and they look at me weird, and I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. But I continue doing it. And it's that type of example that you mentioned, that you can be a positive change in someone's day. Yeah.
We all have intuition.
Absolutely.
Some people have astronomical intuition. And some people I'm like, okay, we need to nurture your intuition and increase it. But we all know what's going on if we just read the room.
Yeah.
Like that's all reading the room is intuition. Like, oh, it feels like suddenly, like I'm going to use teaching kids as an example. It's a great time for intuition because kids don't say, excuse me, I'm feeling this. Like, hey, I'm this. Hey, no, they're just like, la da da. I think I said 5 times last night to the kids, get your toe out of your mouth. So like literally, like to read kids is a little bit different and a little bit more innocent. And so like reading the room, like, oh, it feels a little down. Okay, how can I vibe it up? How can I this? You know, it is something we all have. We all have intuition. Like, oh, something feels off right now. Don't ignore it. It might not be that your life is in danger, but that's a great time to kind of snap back to the last question. Right. Like that's a great time to start nurturing those intuitions. Like, wow, something's off. Maybe not within me, but let me see, who might it be? Hey, I hope you have a good day. It feels like this. If you see someone, and I don't want to crush the mic, but like you see someone sitting like this, it's probably them. And I know we're so scared. Oh, they're going to shoot me. Oh, they're going to stab me. The whole world's scared right now. But like, I just personally am not like, so I'll walk up and I'll be like, hey, do you mind if I sit here? Like, all right, just waiting on my coffee. And I'll be like, oh man, it's cold outside. Like it's just today, for example. And that just might be the one thing that you see them loosen a little bit. Now you might not solve all their world's problems, but intuition states, hey, you're right. So then slowly we start applying that intuition to, something's not right here. Something's not right here. And don't ignore it. Like little hairs are standing up and nope, I'm going to listen to it. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm going to listen. I'd rather be right.
Correct. That's correct. And like the next segment going on with intuition and, you know, that gut feeling, that hair going back of your neck. We're going into the next segment, which is mental and emotional conditioning. When people face chaos, whether in a street fight or personal crisis, their breathing gives them away.
Yeah.
You've said this to me so many times. What's your go-to technique for regaining composure in a high-stress moment?
Oh, that's where I say train jiu-jitsu, because it does teach you breathing when you have 300 pounds on top of you and you're just chilling underneath there and you're like, hey, that's a gift. So yes, breathing does give away. You know, my quirk though, my tell is not breathing. I can breathe through anything, and it always has been. If I am really upset, you can almost physically see my heart, but you'll see this, like my hands start to shake. Yes. It's because they want to grab you. Like I'm like, oh, and that's when I know I'm getting into anger and I'm about to make bad choices. So when it comes to the breathing, that part's easy for me, but a lot of people do hold their breath. And it's one of the main things I do have to coach where I'm like, let's breathe. Because when we don't have air, we're just making it worse. Yeah. And I actually found my breath, I think through yoga primarily and through meditation. When we can stop and connect to our breath, we can control a lot of things inside of us. And I think meditation is one of the hardest things. I think it's harder than jiu-jitsu. I think it's harder than any sport. And it was explained to me a long time ago, and it's been super helpful to imagine that you're talking to a small child and you're trying to tell them something. And if you're telling them something calmly, they're going to do what? Like they don't have time for that. That's not what they want. When we meditate, our body doesn't want that calm. So how do we redirect ourselves? Right. The same way you would a small child. You would take one finger, put it on their chin, bring them back and be like, hey, find me. And it's what I do with the kids. I'm like, hey, look here. And then they go the other way. Hey, here. It's the same thing with meditation. And so that is for me how we find the breath in those moments. I know they do like the box breathing, like the Navy SEALs is a fantastic way. But then for me, it gets a little tricky. I do it now, but in the beginning, then I was so obsessed with the counting that I wasn't calming, I was obsessing. So for me, I had to just be. I had to just be and let myself be uncomfortable. And I'd be like, oh man, I need to. And I'd be like, wait, come back. And then I breathe for 2 seconds and be like, hey, later today. And I'd be like, oh, bring back. Oh, bring back. And slowly but surely, it allowed me to focus on the in And I always go in the nose and I always go out the mouth, in the nose and out the mouth, and deep, and really fill, like breathe to the point that I feel my lower back. Exhale, like I'm squeezing my sphincter and like pushing it all the way out. And then I started using techniques with colors, because I told you numbers are dangerous because I'm going to count obsessively. But it was like, I would imagine breathing in all of this beautiful, beautiful light and filling my body with it, and exhaling any dark. And so it gave me a little bit of a visual. I mean, I'm a very visual person. And so I would breathe that out and I'd be like, and I'd leave the light inside and just keep finding the areas of darkness and breathe them out and breathe them out and breathe them out. And it did help me learn to breathe. And in jiu-jitsu, same thing. Okay, get to a point, and I said it today, get yourself to a point where you don't have to fight, where you have control and you can take a moment and you can breathe.
Right.
And when you can breathe, and that's why you'll see like a purple belt and a white belt, and the purple belt's breathing amazing, and the white belt is dead in the water. But then you watch purple belt and the black belt, and the same thing. Purple belt's dead, and black belt's like, and they're like, how are you not out of air? Well, I haven't done enough with my body because I'm focusing on control, the position, the technique, not strength. When all of our muscles engage, we run out of air and we hold our breath. And it's the same thing with like deadlifting. I'm surprised more people don't pass out. But yeah, it's finding the moment of stillness, finding the time to breathe, taking the time to breathe.
Wow. And with that, like, what is your personal red flags that your mind is slipping out of control? And how do you bring yourself back to center?
The shaking is huge. If my hands shake, it only happens when like I'm literally defending somebody on the street. Like when it's go for real, like that's the only time this happens, when I'm like, you know, and what was the second part of it?
And how do you bring yourself back to center?
Looking at facts. I have to stop the emotion and look at the fact. Most panic in my life, whether it's financial, whether it's relationships, it's usually based off of feelings and assumptions. So if I assume, with the number one way I argue with my wife is I assume she knew what I meant instead of actually saying the words.
Right.
So I'm going to assume you know exactly what I meant. Whereas she's from Brazil, we already have a language barrier. I don't think the same as anyone I've ever met, and neither does she, because two people think the same. But I'm going to assume you knew exactly what I meant, and then I'm going to be pissed when you didn't do it. How did you not read my mind? Why did you not read my mind? You know,
I'm trying to read your mind right now.
Right? Good luck. It's out there. So it's that. What is the fact? The fact is, I did not state myself clearly. My requests were not obvious. I do not reserve the right to be upset. I need to clarify and readjust. So that facing the facts, like in a situation, there was a man the other day and he had on a clown mask because, you know, yeah. But, and his defense, he was like, oh, it's Halloween. It was a Tuesday. Halloween was a Friday. So no, it was not Halloween. Close to Halloween, but it wasn't Halloween. Anyway, he came here and he tried to scare the children. Luckily, Preparedness, I always have the kids where they can't see this. So, and I keep them away from the door. It's just a fail safe that if I need to, I can protect all the littles. So he was at the window and he's trying to scare them. And this man made me so mad because you went for my babies. You went for my babies. And that's a very different side of me. And this made me shake because I wanted to rip his face off because you went after a room of tiny children. We're talking 4 to 7 years old. And your enjoyment was their fear. So to me, that's not okay. So I went outside with him. We'll just say the mask somehow came off and I had a conversation with him, but I was shaking. And the fact was I had to stop and be like, the fact is he is aware that what he did was wrong. He apologized. Like I made sure of it. I went with the good old, let me shame you first. But,
yes.
You know, he had to learn a lesson. And like, the whole thing is like, my facts were, he's not touching me. I don't have the right to touch him. He realized the error of his ways and he's not returning. So I had to step back. And in that one, it was really, really hard because I cannot say to you like enough how much I care about the kids that are here and how I would throw down in 0.1 second for them. And that's not a choice. I'm not allowed to place my hands on people unless they're placing their hands on me.
Right.
And so looking at the facts and breathing, those were the two that brought me back, even though I wanted to. What is the movie? I've never seen it, right?
It, yeah. Yes.
I was like, we were right next to a gutter. I'm like, I could just put him in there. That's where clowns belong. I could just put him right in there.
Where's the red balloon?
And like just, let me just shove you in there and we won't have any further problems. But literally by the end of the conversation, he did apologize and said, yes, ma'am. And I was like, all right, I think you actually realized bad idea. Like right. I made a mistake. Yeah.
So hitting on this topic of children, because I actually didn't write that at all, but I noticed that like a lot of parents struggle with introducing them to the things like the factors like sadly active shooters, mass shooting and things like that. What can you tell parents as far as how to approach preparedness with the little ones?
Oh, there was this little girl. This is the perfect example. There was this little girl named Zoe. She was 3 years old. And it was when I was first learning how to teach 3-year-olds. And this was years ago. And I was teaching them self-defense for bullies. And I said, if they went to hit you, and she froze and looked at me and I said, what's wrong, Zoe? She goes, why would someone do that? And I realized she had never known a negative thing, that it wasn't in her reality to be attacked. And it broke my heart that I was the one who did it. And let me tell you, I do not teach that now. God, that got me. Because I had to say it completely different. But I was like, oh my God. And I looked at her and I said, oh baby, they won't. And I gave her a hug. And I'll never forget that moment. And that was so long ago, but I'll never forget it because it was the true face of innocence introduced to the world of hate. And that's what I think is the hardest. And I'm not a parent. So for me to say like, hey, at this age, I don't think there's two situations that are the same, because two kids aren't the same. Even if you have two kids, you don't have them. Man, to tell a child that the world is a bad place, it can't be. Remember how we talked in the beginning just now about how we ask questions?
Right.
Instead of just ruining everything. I think that's also the best way in. Hey, when you're at school, where do you sit? Like, okay, hey. And I really, it makes me sad that it's even a thing that has to be said with kids. I almost want to say like, bring back bullying so that you can fight your bully so that we stop this shooting. Like it's beyond out of control and it shouldn't be an answer. This shouldn't be an answer. And I mean, you can look at 10 different ways to blame things and this and that, but the fact is, I don't know if there's one set answer, and without a cause, we can't find a solution. And right now there's so many causes that we can't find a solution.
Right.
And as a whole of the human race, well, in America, let's point out some facts.
100%.
I'm not into politics, but I'm just saying like, it's sad. So that's why homeschool is on the rise. Like there's all these things. So I'm gonna remove the school shooting because it's too much for even my heart to handle. It is. But let's talk about instead, like to look at how do you know when a kid's ready to have the birds and the bees talk?
Oh,
how do you know?
I have no idea.
Right? So when we think about that, every kid is different, right? So how we prepare them for, let's say, sexual safety, okay? Should it be, okay, well, when they turn this age, we give them a book. When they do this, we present this. To me, it's conversations. It's, hey, I couldn't help but notice you were staring at that boy. Like, what were you thinking? Checking in with our own children, checking in with, hey, where are you at? Because nobody matures at the same rate. Hey, do you feel safe during the day? Hey, is there anything that happened today that you want to talk about? Like making it a safe space, not ever shaming children for their thoughts, their emotions, or anything physical around them. is huge. And it's really hard because we carry our shit.
We do?
We carry our shit. Like, I carry my mom's shit, I carry my dad's shit, I carry everyone's shit, and I carry it around, and I chose not to have children because I don't think I would have been able to not pass that shit. So my executive decision was no. And instead help many, many, many children, but let the trauma lineage die with me. And I think it was a good call because it was a lot to carry. There was a pretty big family there, you know? And it's helping these kids and their parents communicate. One of the things I often face with jiu-jitsu is, here's my kid, he's not listening. Also known as, can you fix my kid?
Right.
And no, because you want your child to be an adult. We allow adults grace and dignity to have a bad day, but never children. Realizing they're tiny humans, and it's the first time they've experienced this. So checking in with them constantly. Hey, is anything going on? Hey, like I said, question your way into the correct door so that they can open that door and they can let you in. And when they get to the age of, like, you know, old enough that they do know negative shit happens in the world.
Right.
All right, what are we going to do? Prepare for it. Then we can start preparing. But I think destroying a kid's entire world off of the one what if, nah, that should be on more of the teacher. Like, it's save those babies, man.
Right.
Like, we should have schools built better. There's so much we should. And it's hard because I have parents that come to me, oh, should I homeschool? Should I this? I'm like, I don't have the answer.
Right.
You know?
And I know that something that I mention in my school platform when it comes to children, I don't have kids, but something that I've seen, especially like going through a lot of calls that involve children, is that, again, they don't know there's bad in the world. They don't know this stuff could happen. But something that I've noticed, like even just watching you with the kids and teaching them, is that you're teaching them challenges out in the real world, but in a way that they understand here. So what would you tell a parent that's kind of on the fence of bringing their child into a martial arts just like jiu-jitsu?
Oh, that it'll change their entire being. And it has nothing to do with fighting. It has nothing to do with fighting. So, examples, a little girl, right? And I have one I'm thinking of in particular that is like, I don't know if I want to. I say, okay, let's stop. How come you do you not want them to touch you? No, not really. I'm like, okay, that's okay. You're allowed to say no, but it's building a fine line with kids. Because the second I say you're allowed to say no, guess what they're going to do with the rest of the day? Even when they want to do something, no. And then they go home and the parent's like, hey, screw you. All my kid does now is say no. So it's teaching it in, I call it gentle gloves. Like, you have to do it so slowly, so particularly. So it starts with, for martial arts, it's building the kid up. Build them up. So get them to a situation. Like, if I have a kid who's really, really not the best at takedowns, put them in with takedowns and let them fail at least 3 times. And after that, be like, okay, we're going to do this now. This is what we're doing. And I mean, I don't stop pumping them up and building them up. And I kid you not, there's not been one time they don't get it. And when they get it and watching them jump up and be like, I did it. And I swear if they could swear, they would be like, fuck yeah, right? Like, but they jump up and they're like, I did it. I did it. That's what it's about. It has nothing to do with the fact that they took the other kid down, because you're also helping the other kid. Like, it's it's a tricky sport, but it's that thing of like, oh my God, yes, you did it. And they're like, oh. And when we shake hands at the end, I always make them look everyone in the eyes. Everyone. Like, know who you are. Say with your chest. Know your name. Thank you for the training. It's much respect. Let's go. Like, pumping them up. So it's the life lessons. I teach them the reason we play games, integrity. Yes. So they have to learn the word integrity. So why we even play tag. Tag is not a way of tiring your kids out. It should be, hey, when they tag you, I shouldn't need to tell you got tagged. And so I tell them, what I don't want to see is when someone tags, you stop, you look around if anyone saw, and keep going. That's not being honest. So we teach those things, like the integrity, the listening to our partners. Like the discipline has so many things behind it.
Yes.
It all starts with building them up, building their confidence, showing them the way, leading by example, letting them be responsible. They have to check themselves in on, like, we have a little kick site thing, and they have to check themselves in every day. They don't bundle up their gi and throw it at their parents. No, you value this item that helps you learn. We fold it up, we carry it. We're responsible. It's things like that. Believe it or not, I believe every human wants structure, wants guidance, and that doesn't exclude children. Now, does that mean that, they want to be smacked around and controlled every aspect? No, they're still kids, but they do need somebody to show them something. And so I do think for those 2 hours a week, that's why I sweat more in the kids class than the adult class, because I'm like, man, don't mess these kids up. You only get one shot. I'm not paying for therapy in 40 years.
That is true. And a lot of parents, they fear, them getting hurt, or maybe they're going to resort to more violence because that's what they're doing in martial arts. But I feel like I've seen different. I've seen more confident children walk out of here. I've seen more kids like just happy with what they did, and they're part of something bigger than themselves.
Completely.
And they just come in and they know that today I'm going to improve something. Yeah. Even as small as 4 years old, I see them coming in. They're
like, look at me.
Yeah.
Big man on campus.
Exactly.
Here I am.
So I think the fact is that we underestimate children's capability, and we tend to not being so patient with them. And you have a great way of articulating their emotions. Even though you said you don't have children, you have a ton of kids here that looks directly up to you and say, like, I can do this.
Yeah, they can, though.
Yes, absolutely.
It's because I believe it. And that's what, when my coaches are like, oh, I'm kind of struggling to do this. And I'm like, answer me this. Do you believe they can do it? And if they're like, well, I'm not sure. I'm like, you need to believe, because they know. They know if you doubt them. They 100%. If you're like, well, this one just isn't getting it. No, believe inside. They're going to get this.
Yes.
Might not be today, but they're going to get this moment. And when you truly, genuinely believe it, the kid feels that. And so don't doubt them. Don't doubt them. Don't doubt any kid that walks in this door. They'll get it.
Yes.
Check back. I don't know how long, but they're going to get it. But you got to believe it first.
All right. Well, let's get back to you. So you've said in the past and before, I've heard you in a couple classes, like BJJ seemed to be like a form of therapy for you. What's one mental principle from the mats that everyone should apply to life off the mats?
One.
I know there's so many.
There's so many. The first one that came to mind is resilience, but that's only because that's what we've been talking about. That's why it was the first one to come to mind. I wouldn't say that's my wholehearted. I'm going to say self-belief, and kind of like what we said with the kid, like, you might not have it today, but if you don't believe that at some point you deserve it, you're never even going to fully try. And it circles around to kind of all of the things we've been talking about, like the victim mindset, like all of these different things. We need to know that we all deserve nothing but the best. And where it changes, and there's this definition of insanity, that it's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I can't stand that definition. Really, because think of jiu-jitsu. Okay, if this guy keeps doing this, it's never gonna. If I accept that that's insane, I'll never get a change. But it's like, okay, if he keeps doing this, I'm gonna learn how he's doing it, and I'm gonna do something about it. So I just don't like that definition. And it happened when I got clean, because they were like, oh, do the same thing over and over and you'd expect different results. I'm like, no, I expected to die. So how are you going to tell me I was expecting that this time when I get high, it's going to get better? No. I was like, well, you're going to die. So to me, I had to change it up. Semantics. I was like, all right, what is insanity to me? That I had accepted the unacceptable. That it was okay for me to plan my weekend plans around being Baker active.
Wow.
That's insane. That's insane. Not because I was actually insane, but because of the fact that I had accepted an absolutely unacceptable life for myself. That had become my norm. That's not okay. But that's what I thought I deserved. That was my fate. So for me, it would be that self-belief, realizing I deserve the opportunity to learn this sport. I deserve the opportunity to fail.
Right.
Over and over and over again until I succeed. I deserve to be treated with respect. I deserve all of these things. And you'll hear people who disagree with me. Oh, you don't deserve anything. You earn something. Okay, awesome. I deserve the right to earn it.
There you go.
We're all equal. We're all created equal. You know, I do believe there's true evil in the world, and those are the ones that I think should just have their demise. But outside of that, we're all equal. Just some people are dicks, but for a reason.
Right.
It doesn't mean I deserve you to treat me like a dick. It also doesn't mean I have the right to treat you like one. I do believe in standing up for other people, as you know. But the whole thing is if I can believe in myself, and I think that's where a lot of these things come from, because if you think about all of the big to-dos in life, let's look at business. It goes all the way up to the CEO, blah, blah, blah. There's a leader, right?
Yes.
Let's look at religion. There's a leader, okay? And I'm not talking about Jesus. I'm saying like in the actual room, there's a priest person, you know, or priestesses. I don't, you know, everything. Look at everything. In AA, in NA, there's a sponsor. In Jiu-Jitsu, there's a professor. In school, there's a professor. In the police, there's a captain. There's always a leader. The thing that changed for me was when I decided to be my own. I don't want a leader. I want to be a leader. And I truly believe in setting people up to be their own, not being a leader to control, being a leader to let you lead. So giving someone the space to feel safe to lead their own life. So if people can believe in themselves, realize that they do deserve everything they want, and that genuinely from the bottom of my heart, I know anyone can do anything they set their mind to. I don't care what it is. And what it is, you can do it. And if you can find that, man, forget about it. Life's easy.
Wow. And it's true, because like your influence can influence someone else to believe that, yes, I can do this. Mm-hmm. I'm the leader. I'm a leader of my life, and I can take, not necessarily, there goes that C word, the control, but I can lead myself in a path with my own intuition, with my own ideas and thoughts, and not letting other people cloud that.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that you could learn that on the mats.
Oh, for sure.
And it's awesome to see. And we're going to go to community and purpose.
Okay.
So what does brotherhood or sisterhood mean to you in a world where most people feel disconnected?
So remember the power in numbers, the Thunderbolts? Which you've got
I need to
see.
watch. I'm watching the movie now. Yeah.
They make a joke about a little girl pooping during a soccer game. It's so funny. It makes me had kids poop on the mat. But yeah, it's brotherhood, sisterhood, all of these things. I actually never use those terms. Now that you mention it, I think about it. I've never used like brotherhood, sisterhood. Oh, my brothers, oh, my sisters. I'm just like, my peeps, and it's having like a community is the power in numbers. It's really hard to find your people as an adult. Like it's super easy when you're a kid and you're out on the playground and you're like, hey, you like kickball? And the kid's like, yeah, why? You want to play kickball? Right? But for some reason, when we get to adults, we don't do that because, you have a different political view, or you have a different sexuality, or you have a different skin color, or you have a different, my gosh, that's a lot of work. Versus me, I like to live life like, hey, you want to play kickball? I can't do kickball, but you want to play jiu-jitsu? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, hey, do you like coffee? I like coffee. Why? Do you like smiling? I like smiling. Yeah. Like, hey, do you want to do karate in the garage? That kind of mentality. it's hard to find those friends. When you find your tribe, your people, man, hold on to them. But don't base it off of all the tiny little things. And that's what's so cool about jiu-jitsu. You have a literal captain of the police force rolling with a stoner who outside world not getting along, but they become besties. They start getting lunch. Like it eliminates all of the mess and just leaves the pure innocence of the person. And to find that tribe, those people, you're forced in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
You're actually forced to do it. You're forced to make friends. Like you're not going to get to know, like you're not going to leave someone a stranger who's sitting on your face. You know what I mean? You're going to take a moment and be like, hey, my name's Kelly. What's your name? Like before we enter this unique position, tell me a little about, you know what I mean? Like you become friends with these people because you spend so much time together, and building like those friendships, building that sense of community, the sense of self, it's priceless.
Right.
It's priceless because we don't, as adults, we don't really become friends with our work people because they're our work people. Like you hear all the time, I have a work wife, I have a work husband. But as soon as you leave, you're like, nope, like that was enough time with you. Thank you so much. Yeah. And then we go home. So we live these separate lives, of here, home life, work life, school life, this life. And we never actually stop to integrate our worlds and enjoy and be peaceful with everybody. Right. And I think building your community and making it welcoming is what's huge. And that is my goal here at Tharos, that according to others, I am accomplishing. So I really hope it still always feels that way. But it's that welcome, no matter who you are, no matter what you're about, leave it outside and come and enjoy. And I can't ask you to leave your ego because it's not humanly possible, but come in and be and enjoy, be nice to each other, smile. Awesome. We all go to work tomorrow. Yeah. It's not a dick measuring competition. Like, oh, you're tough. Awesome. When you leave here, what did you win? You don't win a Nobel Peace Prize for smashing someone's face. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's so important. Thunderbolts.
Yeah. I'm watching that movie. So when you share your story, you're exposing your scars. Mm-hmm. How do you protect your own mental space after revisiting those painful memories?
Oh, you have great timing on this question because I'm actually writing my life story. I'm writing a book, and nice. I am planning on publishing it, and it's a lot. It's a lot, and I have to take a lot of breaks, and because I'm writing in epic detail, and it's a lot of information. You know how a map has like a key with like, okay, this, I'm doing that for my book because I'm so worried that it's so intense that it's going to like trigger people. And so it's like, okay, if this is highlighted in blue, unfortunately, this was a witness of animal abuse. If it's highlighted in yellow, it's child abuse. If it's like, there's a lot. And so it's like, okay, this is, in purple is sexual trauma, it's all of those things. And it's because I fear like that my story is too much. And so I often downgrade, believe it or not. So writing the book makes it all very real, makes it very my story. And that's the one thing. There's two things in life that I really struggle with. And it's associating with my own story prior to the age of 22 and body image. Those are my two core hurdles left to conquer. And it's where I'm at now with both of them. And so life is very uncomfortable at the moment, but I'm in both of those core things. And to bring myself back, I have to actually just recenter the facts, recenter the focus. Okay, yes, that is my story. Yes, I wrote that down for everyone to read, but somebody needs it. Somebody's going to read it. The fact is, it's just words on paper. It's not now. And what I'm doing now is beautiful. My life is beautiful. And the people around me are good people, and I'm well supported. And the story, when done, will be met with love by those that matter the most. So again, facts, looking at the facts.
Right. And I mean, hearing your story, it inspired me to even start my business. And that just speaks volume to you because just like you said, like I fear that other people will be triggered by it. But really, it actually motivated me because it showed like, wait, she went through all of that.
Yeah.
And she has the confidence to be able to get on stage and share that with others. And I know I used the V word back in the day with vulnerability, but I feel like courage, you have to have some type of vulnerability in order to get to courage. And I believe that what you're doing is very courageous and it's going to help a lot of people. I can't wait for that book to come out. So I can read it because I speak this highly, and I speak highly of you because it was hard for even me to talk about my life story. So I can't even imagine like writing it down and having to revisit that. Do you have like something that keeps you going for you to like say, no, like, let's keep going? And how do you recover from that?
The thing that motivates me to keep going is not what you would think. I would love to have like this, like I'm going to help the world, which is part of it. But it's, believe it or not, it's that I'm getting old. Now, mind you, I'm only 42, but like my body is tired. It's carried so much. It has physically and emotionally fought so much, and I'm getting tired. So my motivation is to have more peace. So in order to have this peace and this stop fighting, I want to, selfishly, I want to add to my career. Right. I want to be able to have a calm career that isn't my physical body for the rest of my life. So at 50, I would love to be like, all right, I'm done showing you this with my body because my body is damn tired.
Right.
I'm full of injuries and I would like to take a nap. Right. And so I do want to add to the career. So I would love to continue into the public speaking, continue into this. And I've never done anything the way that other people do things. And I've had mentors in the public speaking and they have all these suggestions and this and that. And I start doing them and then usually something along the lines and I get fired. I don't know. Maybe it's me. But I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to do this everybody else's way. And the theory is always in public speaking that you build a book off of a speech. And I'm like, but I'm the subject. It's already been built. And so I'm like, no, I want to write my book. I want to publish my book. And I want that to be the platform in which I stand on. And I'm motivated by that vision. I see myself, and this might sound cocky, but it's genuinely what I see. I see myself on like the Drew Barrymore show. The people that I think are really good people. The Kelly Clarkson show. And the people who also stand on their stories. And it's like, oh, you know, let's stand together. Let's stand unified. It has nothing to do with, oh, they're a celebrity. It's just, you know who they are because they're in the public eye. You know their story. And I'm like, it's time to let my story out and truly stand on it. Right. And continue with the jiu-jitsu, of course, and continue competing just because I like it. But that my motivation is I am going to stand on a platform that will reach more than I can reach in a single room. Right. I need a bigger platform for helping. And knowing that even though it's not what people consider the right way of doing it, I'm going to write this book to stand on. Because I feel like so many people know me. And I kid you not, I've had people in my life for the longest time and I'll say something and they're like, wait, you're what? Like I'll be friends with someone for 10 years and they're like, wait, you lived in where? Or like you were born overseas? Like you were born in Greece? And I'm like, oh yeah. Because I'm so hesitant on, I tell stories all the time. I'm a storyteller. I'll tell you.
I love your storytelling.
I love stories. And it's like, oh, because to me, I'm like, this is how we relate. You get to know me, but yet I never do in depth. I'm like, oh, let me tell you about the clown versus let me tell you about the motherfucker that destroyed my life, pardon my language. But you know what I mean? Right. Because it's like, oh, let me tell you about the person I hated my entire life. Let me tell you about the trauma that I received. Because it's like, wow, that makes it a different way. And so it's like when I let it out, I just want to let it all. Right. Like I said, extremes.
And and hearing your story, we didn't even go that deep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I can't even imagine what the book is going to bring, and you continuously sharing your story. And I see it as a testimony.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that shows, like, it kind of envisioned, because I call it warrior school. Obviously we're in the midst of changing the name based off of the audience and what community they want to be a part of. So, and talking about being part of a community, like when someone walks into your gym or on the mat, broken, physically or emotionally, what's the first thing you want them to unlearn?
The only thing I want them to unlearn is the I can't. Because yes, you can. Might not look like anyone else's, might not feel like anyone else's, but yes, you can. Everyone can. We don't come with the I can't.
Right.
That's it. That's the only thing. And if you were training in another school and you have really bad habit, then I'd like you to unlearn that too.
Yes.
If you came from a school where they like shove and rant, I'm like, all right, let's just calm down.
Right.
Like, or if you're a white belt and you're like, listen, the only thing I do is Berenbolos, Kiss of the Dragon, and knee bars. I'm like, can you show me a side control? Can you show me? And if you can't, then let's calm our tits on this Berembolo. Yeah. So yeah, basics.
No, that's great. And in closing, I have a couple questions. So you lived both extremes. Mm-hmm. You lived chaos and calm. What's the moment you realized when you were finally free?
It hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. Like I said, I still have those two core hurdles.
Right.
It's the goal, and it's been the goal. And I remember the conversation when I had a year clean, that it was knowing that the goal is freedom from self. I don't think there's anything else we ever have to be free from, because we hold ourselves hostage more than anybody out there. And the freedom from, what do they say in recovery? Like freedom from bondage of self. But to me, I'm like, I'm not 100% against bondage, so I'm not going to be free from it. But it is the freedom from self. Yes. My goodness. So for me, I'll talk about like the body image one, which most people are quite surprised that they find out I have horrible body dysmorphia. I can't see myself for who I really am. Like it's quite out of control. But I work on it actively, and it laid dormant because, we talk about the onion peels, and it always makes me want a blooming onion from Outback, but it's a perfect example. If you think of a blooming onion, right? We open this up like, we're going to look at all of this stuff, but not really. And I do it with my life coaching clients also. But I don't call it an onion. I call it a flower because it just has a better smell. So I feel like people yes. associate. So if we look at like, boom, this is Kelly. This is who I was born as. The second I was born, before even I had a traumatic birth. So maybe right before I was born, right in the happy womb, having a good old, fluid situation and happening, right? So I'm here. I have this pure innocent form of self, and I'll change it to this because I need my other hand, because I usually draw it. But then it's like, okay, we have this situation occur. So I write in what this is. Maybe it was abandonment. Boom, we have this one. Boom, this one, this one, this one, this one. And every little thing that happens, little or big, adds a petal to that flower. And we end up with like, wow. And everything comes from somewhere. We all make perfect sense. We all make perfect sense. So like a good blooming onion, we pull, we dip, we eat, right?
Right.
So now if you imagine, like, you remember in your little kid, he loves me not. She loves me not. In case you didn't know what you wanted to love you.
Right.
Okay. So I did he and she to make everyone happy. So it's here. We pull this one, and it's like, okay, this situation left its mark. How? And we handle that in full, and we can put that one to the side. We're not done. And to me, true like freedom happens in that center core. And I feel like I have two petals left. And the problem is you have to have those two and don't put more on. Because we're very good at being like, beautiful. Okay, let me fill that void.
Yes.
Because we don't want to be uncomfortable, so let me fill that void. So it's not adding. So on those last two, I don't know when they will come to be. I think the book writing will help the one. But then it's like, okay, the same platform I want is going to destroy a different part. So it's like I visualize all this through meditations and things like that, so I can try to be prepared for what that's going to look like, what I want. I manifest what the end result is, always going for the goal of inner peace.
Right.
Always. So, but like the body dysmorphia and like the body image and self, like it's hard for me to look in a mirror. And it's because there's no other negative thing for me to stand on. Everything else is flawless. And I have to find something to attack, because it's human nature.
Right.
And so no, freedom from self, I think will come, but probably once I'm out of the public eye, living on a farm, I might shave my head, not wear pants, and adopt a tremendous amount of goats.
Oh, I love goats.
Yeah. And maybe put on a helmet and headbutt them, but we'll see. And just live with, happiness, with my wife, with love, and just not giving a fuck.
Amen. That's true.
Goats and no concerns.
Yes, with
no
helmets.
Pants, no concerns, all goats.
So like with that, like that's beautiful, because even though like people automatically think that when somebody become successful in their eyes, like they have everything figured out, but we still do have those petals that are still left. And you actively working on those things motivate me, knowing that, listen, just because I have these petals left, it's not the end of the world. Keep working on them, keep working on myself, and just knowing that my growth is my responsibility. And it's something that I can lead myself into. So it's great that you mentioned that. And another question I have is, with that thought, what does preparedness mean to you today beyond fighting and fitness?
Take out fighting. Take out fitness or the body. Then you're left with the mental and the spiritual. So to be prepared for those two, I would say knowing what I want, knowing I deserve what I want, knowing I can't do it alone, and that I shouldn't have to, finding people to share it with, hanging on tight, knowing it's going to be a bumpy ride, maybe take a little Dramamine for the ride. No, just kidding. And genuinely hanging on tight, acceptance, be a good person, and at the end of the day, know the only thing that matters is love. It's the only thing. When we die, it's the only thing that matters. Not our items, not our success, not what we did, anything. I believe when we die, I call it review the ripple effect. When we were dropped into this world, we start making a ripple. Every action has a ripple, like in the water. So I believe it's review my ripples and stop leaving bad ones, only leave positive ones, and really try to focus on finding love, spreading love, being love, and just not giving a shit with my goats.
Love that. And if someone could only remember one sentence from your life story, what do you hope it would be?
One sentence.
It's a hard one.
No. I just am trying to think if it's more like, it would have to go along the lines of, like, from an outsider's point of view. She was told she couldn't, so she did it anyway.
Wow.
I was trying to think, because I was like, oh, she knew she could, so she did, but awesome. But it was more the, like, how many times I've been told I couldn't. And, even in rehab, this is the one that's going to die. In walking, this is the one that can't walk. Oh, this is the fat girl who will never fight. Oh, you'll never do MMA. This is the kind person who can't hurt a fly. This is, the spoiled little rich girl who doesn't know how to open a business, who's never going to get a job, on her own became an entrepreneur, doesn't touch family money. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things where it's like, you can't do this. And it's like, that's not the reason I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And with that, what's next in your mission, and how can our community support it?
I got to write the book, and then you can buy it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, no, it's finishing the book. I think booking more events. Like, honestly, if people are watching, and this is wholeheartedly like who I am. I know you, just so you know, she pre-sent me the questions, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to read those because
Yes.
it doesn't come from the heart. Then I love on the fly. I love the authenticity, the bottom of my heart. Like, this is what I mean. Like, I enjoy the passion. It's true. It's genuine. And I want to spread it with the world. And I want to start, I'm super well known in this area. And it's like, okay, I can keep milking that, but I want to take it further. I want to go out to different states. I want to start speaking in different places, motivating people, even if it's just one. Like, it's awesome to know you did this based off of that, because it's like, all right, because you're not the only one, but had you been the only one from my entire, speech, that's enough. One person changing, because now you're doing this. Who's going to change? Like I said, we're holding the hand. Now you're holding the hand. Now you're holding the hand.
Yes.
You're holding the hand. And it's trying to unify all of that. So it's just getting myself out there, getting the face out there, because I want to help. And
awesome.
There's a way to do it, and it's going to happen.
You heard it best from Kelly. And I think with your story, with what you're doing, you're continuously making an impact in the community. And that's something that I value, and that's something that I hope that I can do. And just like that holding the hand thing that you mentioned, and paying it forward. I think a lot of people forget that. So I'm happy for you being my first guest speaker, and to bring all these gems and this gold, because some of these things I talk about, and to hear you talk about it is like, wow, okay, I am going on the right path. I am walking in the right footsteps. And I really, really, really do appreciate this. And one thing that I'm adopting from another podcast that I've seen, Diary of a CEO, is before they leave the interview, they ask the previous guest to ask the next guest a question. So I am going to ask you, from warrior to warrior, to write down this question, and I'll be able to ask that person, even though you may not know who they are, that same question that you asked me. You'll be the first one to be able to
pass that on?
Yes, to pass that on.
Do I have to say it right now?
You don't.
Okay.
You could just write it down.
Let's see.
And let me get your autograph at the bottom.
Let's go with, this is so generic too.
I know. I love it. Awesome. And thank you again for doing this. I hope that, people will learn from this, and they'll see you and know that no matter what I'm going through in life, I can surpass it.
Yeah, don't let anyone dim your light.
If you're watching this and thinking, this should be taught at my Pride board, my campus, my cheer squad, or my women's group, you're right. I build structured safety workshops specifically for women and LGBTQ plus communities. Control, cover, communication. No fear tactics and no political rhetoric. Just practical tools that makes people harder to desensitize in public spaces. If your organization needs this, reach out. Tell me where this conversation belongs. Now, let's continue. If you're watching this and thinking, this should be taught at my Pride board, my campus, my cheer squad, or my women's group, you're right. I build structured safety workshops specifically for women and LGBTQ plus communities. Control, cover, communication. No fear tactics and no political rhetoric. Just practical tools that makes people harder to desensitize in public spaces. If your organization needs this, reach out. Tell me where this conversation belongs.